What do you do about a man like Lionel Messi when he's playing like that?
Nothing. You can't do anything. Messi is more than the cherry on the top. He's the whole damn cake.
The issue is that they didn't get the away goal, and I think that will be ultimately what will come back and bite them, because at some point Barcelona will get a chance.
They shouldn't have thrown caution to the wind. Alisson was dead right to tell Klopp, I'm not going forward for the corner kicks.
I was screaming at the TV when that happened, when that corner came up, and saying, go forward, Alisson, go up.
You think back to last season, Liverpool scored 3.5 against Manchester City at Anfield. They scored 5 in an hour against Roma. Never say never with Liverpool, and Anfield's a funny sort of place where strange things can happen.
Hello and welcome to Goals Preview Show. I'm Jay Legate and we're halfway through the Champions League semi-finals, and today attention turns to the second leg between Liverpool and Barcelona. To help me look ahead to the second leg and probably wax lyrical about Lionel Messi, we are joined by our chief correspondent, Peter Staunton. Hello there.
Hello, Jay.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
And Neil Jones, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling?
Tired after the first leg and all the applause I have to give Lionel Messi.
You have to. Do you feel like you have to? I mean, he was incredible, wasn't he?
How could you not? How could you not after that? I mean, it just a bit special, wasn't it?
What's the feeling like amongst Liverpool fans at the moment? I mean, is there some hope for the second leg?
There's always hope with Liverpool. I mean, they've been 3-0 down in Champions League games before, famously, of course. But I think the feeling coming away was that it would probably even top Istanbul in terms of an achievement as a comeback. But it's never say never with Liverpool, and Anfield's a funny sort of place where strange things can happen. Get the first goal in the second leg, and we'll see where we go from there.
A little bit of magic. What do you do about a man like Lionel Messi when he's playing like that?
Nothing. You can't do anything. Liverpool, for 75 minutes, they did everything they could do against Lionel Messi, which was trying to funnel him into areas where he's going to get marked by 3, 4, 5 people at a time. And it worked because Messi gave the ball away a lot during the first 65, 70 minutes. He was shouting at his own teammates. He was pretty upset with himself, with his own performance, and it was Messi as we don't usually see him. It was Messi with stuff not working for him. But it doesn't take much for Messi to turn things around. You know, that little burst of acceleration, that run, ghost in the wrong side of Van Dijk, and all of a sudden he's in the game. And then the free kick, what can you say? I mean, you can have a plan for Barcelona, you can have a plan for Lionel Messi, but very often it doesn't matter. I think Liverpool did better than any other away team I've seen at Camp Nou this season. But still, Messi is more than the cherry on the top. He's the whole damn cake. Once the free kick is given, you've got to stand on the spot where the free kick was given, because they gave him the opportunity to put the ball exactly where he wanted to put it. And just the way he kicks that ball into the top corner is just, I mean, he must do that 100 times a week at training, and Alisson has no chance.
Looking at the first 20 minutes, the first half hour, say, Liverpool started pretty well, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a surprise team selection. I mean, Gini Wijnaldum playing sort of false 9, sort of a defensive number 10, if you like, between those two roles, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. When the team sheet came, everyone was sort of wondering whether it'd be 3 at the back, or whether it'd be a diamond in midfield, or it would be sort of Mane playing and sort of Keita from the left potentially. But it worked okay. Liverpool got the ball into some good positions. They didn't always have the quality at the end. And I mean, if you think back, there was a moment where Messi was appealing for a penalty against Matip, and then the seconds later Salah was running through the middle of the pitch, and you think, oh wow, this is going to be some counter-attack, and he doesn't pick the right pass. And that was sort of how it was for Liverpool in the first half. They had real good situations, they had real good possession of the ball and men in good areas, but they couldn't take advantage of it. And I think they'll look back on it, you know, as much as he did play well, and I think Klopp said himself after the game, he said, you know, we can take a lot of pride from the performance. I think they'll also look back and say they really could have got a little bit more out of that, and they had ample opportunity, I thought, to get 1, 2, maybe even more away goals. Were
you a little bit surprised that he stuck with Wijnaldum playing in that false 9 position for so long in the game?
Possibly, maybe I would have brought Firmino on earlier, or would have expected him, but Firmino, he's had a muscle injury, and Klopp says all the time, really, basically, Milner, Henderson, Firmino, if any of those have got an injury and say they've got an injury, then it must be something bad. And you know, to keep him out of starting in the new camp, it must have been bad, because you know he's so integral to what Liverpool tried to achieve. I thought Wijnaldum did a bit better in the second half. He connected the play a little bit. I think he put one out for Milner, which Ter Stegen saved. He could have done a bit better with one that was played back to him from Henderson. He just took a heavy touch. So he was involved in the game, but yeah, possibly you think of Firmino coming on, say 60, 65 at 1-0, you might have thought there was a chance, but you don't know. The fitness situation might have dictated that he could only do 15 or less.
Where I was impressed at Liverpool is that a lot of teams that go to Camp Nou, they resist, and that's the game plan. But Liverpool had a plan without the ball and then a plan with the ball. The plan without the ball worked with Gini Wijnaldum in that position because he was man-to-man with Busquets. And then you have the two forwards in Salah and Mane. They go man-to-man with Longley and with Gerard Piqué. And it meant that every time that Ter Stegen had the ball at feet, he couldn't look for those nice, easy passes that get Barcelona going, which meant that he was coughing the ball up continually to Messi and to Suarez, and they were giving it away because the strength, whatever strengths they have, it's not winning balls in the air against defenders like Virgil van Dijk. But I think a huge problem for Liverpool, and I think it's been overlooked a little bit, was Naby Keita going off.
Yeah. Because
we had the two forwards marking the two centre-backs, which worked perfectly. Then the two midfielders, who was Keita and Milner, they were marking the fullbacks. Then he switches the midfielders over so Henderson can go to the right-hand side of the Liverpool midfield and Milner can come left. And Henderson, he got nutmegged by Jordi Alba immediately after coming on. And then he doesn't get close enough for the cross. And I just don't think he was up to speed in the game in those sort of 2 or 3 minutes when he came on the pitch. They did settle, but I think the damage was done there. It was just not quite sharp enough in getting to Alba.
And they played a couple of minutes as well with 10 men, where they were obviously a little bit ragged. I mean, they actually got into a couple of decent positions with 10 men with Mane down the left, but there was a spell where you thought the last thing you want to be doing really is taking a player off and then not having a replacement ready, you know, against a team like Barcelona. And it's I think Pete's right. It's no surprise that the goal came around that time, because when you send it on someone, even an experienced player and someone who's very diligent like Jordan Henderson, getting up to speed with the game in the new camp is pretty tough.
There were a lot of balls going down the flanks early on for Liverpool, which was yielding quite a lot of success actually. But that seemed to dry up. Well,
Joe Gomez was playing at right back, which didn't help that situation in terms of the right hand side. Salah he got loads of joy out of Alba and Longley in the first half. I think he got Longley booked, didn't he? When
he did,
just rugby tackled him pretty much. But Joe Gomez was selected, I'm guessing, for his defensive qualities and the fact that he's a little bit more solid and physically robust than Trent Alexander-Arnold. But the offshot is that they were able to get less or fewer crosses into the box of quality, and I think Alexander-Arnold would have provided a lot more, albeit he might well have cost you a little bit the other way.
Where I was very impressed with Liverpool was down the left-hand side of their attack through Mane and Robertson. And the ultimate compliment was paid by Ernesto Valverde when he replaced Philip Coutinho with Nelson Semedo and tightened up on that side. And like I said, the plan without the ball was to stop Barcelona playing from their own half. And the plan with the ball was, as quick as you can, get it to Robertson, get it to Mane, and see what you can get in terms of pullbacks down the sides. And Liverpool did perfect. They played a perfect game. But at this level, and I know it might sound like a cliche, at this level, if you're not sticking away at least one of those three, I'm talking about three of the best chances that away teams have created in Camp Nou this season, you have got to be able to take those chances when they come around. And that was a classic case of, this is the only fault I would pick with Jurgen Klopp from the other night. It's a classic case of a manager not playing two legs. It's a manager playing one leg. I mean, after seeing your team go toe-to-toe and compete so well, you know, for sort of 85 minutes, why throw caution to the wind and risk going out of the tie altogether? It's only half time. And for me, you know, take Lionel Messi out of the equation, which I mean is a crazy thing to say. Take him out of the equation, Liverpool were the better team. And Klopp has got to believe that his team are capable of coming back and doing to Barcelona what Barcelona did to them, and that's scoring 3 unanswered goals, because the quality is within the team. Whether the belief is there, I'm not so sure, but they shouldn't have thrown caution to the wind. Alisson was dead right to tell Klopp, I'm not going forward for the corner kicks. And they needed to preserve the 3-goal deficit, as it were, for as long as possible.
I was screaming at the TV when that happened, when that corner came up, and saying, go forward, Alisson, go up. But no, obviously, he was clearly a lot more measured than I would have been in that situation.
You think back to last season, Liverpool scored 3.5 against Manchester City at Anfield. They scored 5 in an hour against Roma. They scored 5 away from home at Porto. They scored 3 in Munich. They are capable of scoring 3 times against Barcelona, because they've got the firepower to do it. The issue is that they didn't get the away goal, and I think that will be ultimately what will come back and bite them, because at some point Barcelona will get a chance.
Thinking about it in general though, you think about like the biggest Champions League comebacks ever, The first one that springs to mind, PSG, also featuring Barcelona. Then you also got Liverpool, the one against AC Milan.
Deportivo La Coruña over 2 legs against AC Milan as well.
Yeah, that just ruined what I was about to say. But
Oh,
yeah,
no,
but I
was
was
it?
about to say, look, Liverpool and Barcelona feature heavily
Yeah.
in comebacks throughout sort of Champions League history. So hopefully, I mean, obviously, in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it could.
It could also, the fact that it happened to Barcelona last season could also be, I don't think there would be any chance of them taking it lightly, but there is even less chance of them doing it this season, because if it's fresh in the mind of Messi and Rakitic and Suarez and whoever else, then they will be guarded against making the same mistakes, albeit sometimes an atmosphere can take a game away from a team. I think Barcelona should be experienced enough to handle it, but you just never know. If Anfield's rocking, strange things happen. You can get an early red card, you can get a penalty, anything can happen in a game of football.
What you have to remember is cast your mind back to August, and it was the Gamper Trophy when Barcelona played against Boca Juniors, and Lionel Messi gives his first ever captain speech in front of the Camp Nou. And Lionel Messi, if you've ever heard him give an interview, he doesn't give much away. This speech, he said, the signings are good, we're excited about the season ahead, we had a good season last year when we won the double, but there was a big but in that speech. And he pretty much said that Barcelona let themselves down in the Champions League. And he said, I will do, and we will do all we can to bring that beautiful trophy back here to Camp Nou. This is a revenge mission for Messi. What happened against Roma last year was intolerable for a club like Barcelona. There's no way, with all due respect, a club like Roma should be putting them out over 2 legs like that. They've had to watch Real Madrid cart off 4 of the last Champions Leagues. Messi has watched sort of his late 20s into his early 30s disintegrate without a European title because Real Madrid have just come over the horizon and swept all before them. And I think he sees it as his destiny this season to get it done, and you can see that by the way he's playing.
So where is the weakness in this Barcelona team?
Wherever the weakness is, they cover it very well, and they generally do that by getting the ball to Lionel Messi as and when they can. In terms of Champions League vintage, if you compare them to the other treble-winning teams, man for man, I don't think it's as good a team, but they're more pragmatic, and I think Valverde doesn't buy into that sort of philosophy as much. I think he's willing to win games on his own terms. He's not sending them out like Johan Cruyff would send them out, sort of to play the beautiful football and to make sure that they're winning in his style. I mean, to go 4-4-2 at home with Arturo Vidal in the team instead of Arthur and allow Liverpool to have more of the possession tells you where Barcelona are this season. They're more of a shape-shifting sort of team, willing to do what is necessary. They're not there to impose themselves sort of in a philosophical sense like the Guardiola teams were. There's more of that sort of a collective identity. And they do for Lionel Messi what the Argentina team should have been doing for the last 10 years. They get compact, they make sure they don't concede, and they give him a platform and a freedom in the areas that he needs to perform. This team is all about Messi. It's the only thing that separates this Barcelona team from every other team in the competition.
So looking at the second leg, you mentioned earlier on about Joe Gomez being given the nod ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Do you see that happening for the second leg as well?
No, I don't. Purely because of the delivery of Alexander-Arnold and the fact that it could come down to, can he put a decent free kick into the penalty area? Can he put a few corners in? He will get into advanced positions. Liverpool's fullbacks always get into advanced positions, and I think they need to have the ability to make Barcelona think about what's going to come into their penalty area. And unfortunately, Joe Gomez, fantastic young talent, and he's had a really good first half of the season at centre back. He didn't look capable of worrying Barcelona from that area, and I think it'll be Trent back in right back.
What do we think is going to happen? I mean, it looks pretty nailed on. How are Liverpool going to be able to approach this game to get to the final?
I think the look of the draw hasn't helped Liverpool. I'll just put it that way. I know they're playing Barcelona, but I think Liverpool are one of the few teams in this competition who would actually prefer to play the second leg away from home, because when teams have to then, if they keep it tight in the first leg and then teams have to come on to them away from home, they can use that space and exploit them on the break. Mane, Salah, Firmino.
Like Bayern.
Like exactly like the Bayern game. So I think they've been kind of undone a little bit by the fact that have to now come back and, with their own fans behind them and try and do something against Barcelona. And like we said, that Barcelona team will be content to sit in and see what they can do on the break. So it'll be up to Liverpool. They'll have a lot of the ball. I'm sure they'll have more of the ball in Anfield than they did in Camp Nou, and they had more of the ball than Barcelona did in Camp Nou.
I was surprised you said that, actually, because I would have thought that even though Barcelona are coming away from home and playing against most teams, they'll dictate possession.
Yeah.
And Liverpool do enjoy playing on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
Do you agree with Pete, with what he just said?
Yeah, Barcelona have got the lead to defend, so they don't. I mean, I expect them to play relatively conservatively in the sense of I don't expect them to be. I don't expect Coutinho to play for the start. I think the reaction he got from his own fans was pretty brutal. I don't think he was that bad from what I saw of him. He gave a couple of passes away early in the second half and was just taken straight off. I think it was before the hour, wasn't it? It was. Yeah. I wonder if he has a look around sometimes at the support that English clubs get and thinks maybe the bread isn't always buttered on the other side. But I think it's going to be a tough one. I think Dembele will probably play instead of Coutinho from the team that Barcelona played, and maybe Arthur instead of Vidal, and then Semedo pretty much have to play after the way he changed the sort of the dynamic with Mane and Robertson in the first leg.
Put the buttresses up for sure. On
that, absolutely. But what do Liverpool need? They need to get the first goal, but I don't think it needs to come in the first 5 minutes or the first 10 minutes. I think if Liverpool
they can afford to be patient.
Play normally, but disciplined. They can. They've shown that they can create chances. They can get into position where they can hurt Barcelona. They need to be clinical. Obviously, Salah's missed a great chance. Mane's missed a great chance. Milner's missed a good one. Ter Stegen's made a couple of saves. But like I say, I think that the top aim will be get the first goal, because if they don't, then it's curtains.
It is curtains.
I think collectively, tactically, Liverpool were the better team the other night, and had it finished 3-1, I'd probably have backed them to go through in the second leg.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I think they would have been happy coming back with a 3-1 and then doing to Barcelona what Barcelona did to PSG a few years back, is get that early goal, and then all of a sudden the mentality switches and people are under pressure. It's a siege.
Yeah.
The very fact that they don't have that away goal changes things just slightly. But still, I think if Liverpool are 1 up, even 2 up by half time, there'll be nobody in Anfield who'll be leaving early. I think most people in there will still believe that they're capable of getting a result, because even though they lost 3-0 in that first leg, I think the manager, Klopp, I think he acquitted himself brilliantly. I think the players carried out his instructions almost to perfection, other than those missed chances. And no matter what happens, I think it's a huge learning experience. One
thing Liverpool will remember as well as last season against Manchester City, when they won the first 3-0 quarter-final. And I was in the city. I spoke to fans all around that period. They were terrified, Liverpool fans. They didn't think it was enough going to Manchester City with a 3-0 lead. And if you look at the first 45 minutes of that second leg at the Etihad, it was like a whirlwind hit them, and it could ease that lead could have been wiped out by half time. Again, they got lucky with the refereeing decision that was given. I think City at the post. There's a few chances that went begging.
Guardiola loses his head.
Guardiola was sent off at half time, and then Liverpool. But as soon as Liverpool scored through Salah, the air went out of the balloon, and the City fans left, and this and that. So that's the lesson for them, is that it is possible to frighten a team that's 3-0 up, but you've got to keep that back door shut. And I think if you're asking, I'm pretty sure the last message that Jurgen Klopp would be giving his players as they leave is keep a clean sheet for as long as you can, because as long as Liverpool have kept a clean sheet, even if there's 15 minutes to go and it's 0-0, there's still that hope that they can do something. With that clean sheet in mind, I think one player who needs to pay particular attention to that is Virgil van Dijk. He's been justifiably, and he's been praised all season long with good reason. But the other night, I think he slipped into almost Celtic mode, Virgil van Dijk, over the course of this season, because he's defended really well for Liverpool, but haven't been under pressure that often. They haven't played teams that are better than them that often in an attacking sense. And they come up against that the other night with Suarez and Messi. And he didn't go with his runners. Those are very, very fundamental, simple things. If you look at the first goal, he doesn't go with Suarez. The second goal, he doesn't notice that Messi is there. And this is one criticism that was in his game when he played with Celtic. It was all just a little bit too easy for him. So maybe a performance like that, where world-class players are getting in behind him, maybe that should be enough now. To keep him on alert. And even though he's probably the best passing centre-back in the league, he's a giant in the air, he's quick across the ground, he can do all that. But just that nuts and bolts defending, like the defending that Nemanja Vidic sort of made a career out of Man United, he needs to remember that and make sure that it could come down, conceding that away goal could come down to him going with a runner or not. Well, I think we know what Liverpool have to do. We know that it's possible. Thank you very much for coming in again today, Pete. Pleasure. And we may see you again in the final. Maybe, never say never. Exactly, we'll see. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you can subscribe to all our content, all our previews, our animations, our interviews that we do all the time. Who will we see in the final? Nobody knows.